Hi, my name is Sarah Slava, and welcome to Earth School Radio. That is what I thought I was going to be saying when I started my podcast. And yet, clearly, that is not the name of the podcast that you are listening to right now. I have wanted to start a podcast for over 5 years now. A year ago, I had the inspiration for a podcast where I could really anchor into this idea of Earth School, which, if you're not familiar, it's this idea that we are basically here on planet Earth to learn lessons and elevate our soul's karma. And honestly, between all the crazy stuff I've experienced in my life, my relationships with the divine, the spiritual experiences I've had, my background in psychology, I felt like it was time for me to share some of the wisdom I've acquired so far on this lovely human journey of mine. And my goal was to highlight the spiritual truths behind the complexities of life, while also keeping in mind the psychological aspects of the human mind. And let me tell you, I loved this concept for a podcast. I still do. However, one thing I did not like was feeling like I had to position myself as an expert or a guide, when in reality, we're all just here as human beings. We're all just here trying to figure it out. Don't get me wrong, we all have different strengths, we have different skills, we have different natural talents, and I'm not a stranger to those. I know I have my own unique strengths and talents and gifts. That's why I created Astral Sarah. That's why I offer one-on-one sessions and I do the work that I do. But I needed something that does not box me into that label, that doesn't box me in to being a guru or a guide or a coach or a leader. I needed something that was more authentic and more real and more true to me, to the person I am, the person I'm becoming, and allowed for more expansion. And as I was trying to detangle this, and I kept going back and forth for the last 12 months. I have been going back and forth about, is this podcast going to be associated with my business, or is this podcast going to be associated with a burner account? Is my name going to be attached to this podcast? And I ended up realizing it wasn't how do I do this? It was, am I willing to do this? Am I willing to share my authentic voice and my truth and my observations and my opinions, which, by the way, are constantly changing? Am I willing to show up in this imperfect nature and create something real and raw? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. For a really long time, I think I have been approaching my business and my brand from a perspective of control. I think I've been trying to compartmentalize my expression, and I've been trying to control the way I show up in my business and my brand in the very same way that I was controlled growing up. I grew up in a really strict household with immigrant parents. I was the firstborn eldest daughter, and I had a lot of responsibility placed on me from a really young age. And I didn't even realize how these experiences, these personal life experiences I had, were spilling over into the way I was allowing myself to show up in my business and in my brand. And the truth is, if you grew up feeling repressed by your family, your friends, your loved ones, your peers, you might then also start to repress yourself without even realizing it. Your body learns that you are safest when you don't speak up. You are safest when you follow the rules. You are safest when you fit neatly into these boxes that other people want to put you into. And so, as a trauma response, I started to do that. I started to create beautiful, neat little boxes for me to fit parts of my personality into. On this account, I'm allowed to be this version of myself. In this business, I'm allowed to be this version of myself. With these friends, I can show these aspects of myself. And while I think it's perfectly normal and natural for different people in your life to bring out different versions of you, I don't think it is helpful, healthy, or natural to force yourself, to restrict yourself, and create rules around your own expression, to micromanage and compartmentalize your authentic self to the point where you don't even make the art that you want to make. You don't even speak the truth that you want to speak. You don't even share your voice the way you want to share your voice. When we repress ourselves, when we restrict our own authentic expression, we also prevent the people who are most aligned with us, who are most aligned with our authentic self, who actually really enjoy and appreciate and need our authentic selves. We prevent those people from seeing us. We prevent those people from interacting with us. We prevent those people from ever getting to experience us. And that creates a loss of community. That creates isolation. And for me, that created a deep loneliness. Earth School Radio, as beautiful as a concept as it was just going to put me back into that place. And now I realize I'm no longer willing to repress my own voice. I'm no longer willing to prevent myself from creating the art I want to make, even if it is bad art. And this podcast is an homage to that. I've come to this place where I think I deserve the freedom to express myself authentically and share my observations, my thoughts, my opinions. And I also think that we don't get what we deserve. We get what we are willing to take. We get what we are willing to give to ourselves. And so, as much as I loved Earth School Radio, I don't think that's what I need right now. And the really funny thing is, when I got to this place of, okay, I think I need to let this idea go, I found a YouTube channel that was started 2 weeks prior with almost the same podcast name, the exact same concept, a similar logo. And you would think in that moment I would feel angry or upset, but honestly, I felt so at peace. Somebody else was given the idea and is actually acting on it and is actually moving on it. And I can only assume feels passionate about it, right? Because they were able to make it past the idea phase of this project. And I couldn't. And for a while, I felt like a failure, and now I realize it wasn't that I couldn't move past the idea phase because I was failing. It just wasn't right for me. It just wasn't the right project for me to move forward with. It was a great idea, it still is, but that doesn't mean it's mine. And I think this is where scarcity versus abundance mindset comes in too. Every single idea you get is not going to be for you. Even if it's a great idea, even if you could see success on the other side of that idea. I've had to stop asking myself in the last couple years in my business, is this a great idea? Can this be successful? And instead, I've had to start asking myself, do I like this idea? Does my soul light up with this idea? Do I want to create this even if it crashes and burns, even if not a single person sees this? Will I feel successful if I create this? And with this podcast, the answer is yes. Going forward, the episode structure is going to be pretty random. It's going to be spontaneous. There's going to be a plethora of topics we're going to talk about, intersecting between spirituality, astrology, philosophy, psychology. I want to dive into topics like free will, manifestation, overcoming victim mindset, cult mentality, survival mode, self-empowerment, and so much more. I hope that this podcast helps open you up to a fresh perspective, get clearer on your own voice and your own intuition, and maybe even be a distraction from all of the chaos and bullshit that exists in our world today. Some weeks are going to look like me verbally processing. Some weeks are going to be just an open stream of consciousness. And some weeks I might have a more philosophical or psychological approach to an idea or topic that has been on my mind. Either way, I hope you tune in. I hope you enjoy. If there's ever a topic you want me to cover, feel free to email me. You can also DM me. All of my info and links are going to be in the show notes below. And I hope you guys have a good week. Bye.